Greetings and salutations, it's BiggieJDM. The night is near, but the sun still shines. Behind me is my 03 WRX Blob Eye, and it's very poorly, so poorly. It was poorly when I brought it. So we need to make a move on this car. We need to start the maintenance on the car, and first of all, there's a few things we've spotted. The radiator in the car is a wrong radiator for the car. Obviously it fits, but it's still wrong. There's no return entrance into the radiator, making it an issue. It might be one for a classic, I don't know, but we've been supplied with a brand new genuine radiator from RCM, also a new radiator cap, because you have to get a genuine radiator cap rather than the one that's on it from RCM. Also, we've got a new thermostat. So when we take the radiator out, we're going to drain the water. If we're going to do that, we basically change the thermostat. Don't go for a standard, run-of-the-mill one. It has to be a genuine one. So we've got a genuine thermostat from RCM, and we're going to all jam it together and see how it goes. That's enough talking. Let's go. So let's start by jacking the car up safely. Now, if you don't know how to jack a car up, go and look at my video where I service my FN2 Type R. But in a nutshell, just find the jacking point and securely slide an engine mount under before releasing the jack. You then see me remove the air duct which feeds cold air to the induction kit, but putting the bolts back in the hole so we don't lose them. I then start on the under tray. Now this is pretty worse for wear, held on with cable ties, so I didn't take it off admittedly, but in order to slide a tray underneath the car so catch the coolant, I had to jack the car up from the right hand side, which gave me enough space to undo the thermostat housing and release the coolant, then finish unbolting it from the top. We've got the coolant drained right now. I don't know how far we'll get, but what I can start doing now is taking off the top radiator hose and then kind of go from there. I'm just winging it. So now all the coolant's drained, we can start removing the hoses from the top of the radiator. Admittedly, the camera isn't showing the radiator from the left hand side, but what you see me doing is unbolting the middle hose, which is the main engine hose, before removing the hose on the left hand side, which goes to the header tank. To do this, I use a flathead screwdriver, but if you don't have leverage or there's not enough space, I believe it's a 7mm socket which goes over the clamp. And before you go pulling the radiator out, remember to undo both of the fan clips which connect to the wiring loom underneath the radiator. Once that's done, you can hoist the entire radiator out of its position. I'll be honest, it's going to look worse before it looks better. Anyway, Rad's out. Can you see? Let's have a look. Can you see the space now? Now I can get to the thermostat. Can you see? I can undo the thermostat housing and get to it. Rad's on the floor. I don't know what Rad that's for. Is it for a classic? I'm not even going to put that in my classic though. Now it's time to unbolt the thermostat housing. I should have had the camera in a bit of a better location so you can see exactly what I'm doing, but there should be two 10mm bolts. Be careful not to undo the 10mm bolts off the oil cooler. That's easily mistaken. Usually once the thermostat housing's out, you can pull it out with your hand. This needed a bit more persuasion, so I just got a pair of pliers and dragged it out. And then what you will see is more coolant come out. So be ready with your catch can or whatever you're using to catch the coolant. Right, so now what we're going to do is fit our genuine Subaru thermostat from RCM. I only really buy my stuff from RCM because I know it's quality. Anyone who's running any serious Subaru power, yes, there are different Subaru manufacturers. When you hear the name RCM, you know it's serious. This is where I buy my Subaru parts from. Has to be. We're just fitting a new one anyway. This looks familiar, but we've got a genuine Subaru gasket, genuine Subaru thermostat. So let's just get this fitted now. You see how there's a little groove in the rubber there, so that goes around the thermostat like that. goes around the thermostat in the groove. Make sure it fits in the groove or you're going to have some serious issues. I'm just fitting this for peace of mind. It might already have a genuine Subaru thermostat, but can you see now that it's in the groove now? That is in the groove now, yeah? Can you see? And now I'm just going to stick this inside. Normally you go that way top, I believe, but anyway, I'm going to fit it in, and I'm going to fit it in anyway. So that is now all placed inside correctly. All placed inside correctly. What we're going to do is probably put the housing wherever I've put it back on now. When fitting the thermostat housing, in my opinion, it's better to do one bolt from the top of the engine and one bolt from underneath the engine. But what we're going to do is build up the new radiator. This is a brand new radiator from RCM. Look, I've never seen a brand new radiator like this. Is probably how it looked like when it come out of the factory. It's packaged so good. It gives it a disjustice just being on the grass like this, but we're working in a tight space, so let's get it in and go from there. So we start by fitting the bottom radiator hose from the old radiator angled in the same direction as it was previously, just to make things easier, and I start mounting the radiator fans. What I didn't realise is you have to actually re-tap holes in order to put the screws in. I found that out the hard way, probably after about 10 minutes. Right, I think we're going to stop for the day because we've done as much as we can do with the light that we have. We've had some great wins, so we've managed to get the old radiator out, we've managed to get the old thermostat out, we've managed to put the new radiator in, seat it in the right place, and we managed to put the thermostat pipe housing back on and the pipe connecting. The issue is the little grooves, because it's a brand new radiator. I think you have to make your own grooves for the bolts, so I can't just take the old ones out. I have to kind of find something to make the grooves in the new plastic. So as soon as I do that, I can fasten the fans to the radiator, and that should be able to then be able to connect the overflow metal pipe that goes along the radiator to the overflow, fill it up with coolant, and then we're good to go. So while we were waiting for the re-tap bit to come in the post, we thought we would just run with it anyway. So I temp fitted the pipe which goes to the overflow, and I just mounted the fans on the best that I could, and then started attaching the top radiator hose. But did you spot something? Where the pipe was previously blocked off because there was no recirculation back into the overflow, there's now a small pipe for that pipe which was blocked off to be reattached to, in order for the coolant circulation to run more efficiently, which I think was part of the problem. What's great is the re-tap bit now turned up in the post. I did this by hand, it was easy enough, I didn't need to attach it to a drill, I just kept the radiator in place and made the grooves. So the great thing about this radiator is I can start filling it up directly from the cap. So I just cut the top of a plastic funnel I used lying around and started filling it up with diluted coolant. I don't know the ratio, but I'm sure you can find that out on the internet. I continue filling the radiator until it's full, and then I go and get that genuine radiator cap, what I was talking to you about earlier on, and replace it with the one which came with the radiator. Job done. We're back again, and I've brought this easy bleeding kit, and what this does, it actually bleeds the coolant out of the car. Like, I'm not endorsed by this company or anything, it's just something I bought off Amazon, like very, very quickly. Like, all I know is I'm gonna stick this in there and I'm going to bleed it up. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna wait for all the bubbles to come out and see what happens and keep an eye on the temperature of the car. I need to get a new GoPro battery. Let me do that and I'll be back in a second. So I've quickly come to the solution, like, this is rubbish. Hold up, Biggie, that's a bit unfair. I wouldn't say the product itself is rubbish, but the caps that were supplied with this don't fit a Subaru. well, they kind of try to fit a Subaru, but it's just loose. You can just flick it off with your finger, meaning when I do come to bleed it, it will just erupt everywhere. I do, however, return this and purchase a different one in a later video for another car, which worked pretty well. But this particular one, it's not for me. Like the top that's supposed to screw it on there, it just doesn't do anything. So what I'm going to do is try and hold it, fill it up with water. The good thing about it is it's got a valve here where I can fill it up with some coolant, then kind of turn it off, then turn it on again when I need to. Hopefully it doesn't erupt out the side. If it does, then there's a problem. Either way, we need to bleed it, so that's what I'm going to do. Right, I'm glad I didn't record that, because that was just a disaster. I'm just going to have to bleed it out the old way. Just take off the cap and let the bubbles come out. Admittedly, we got a bit excited there, but what you don't see me do is fill the header tank up with coolant. Now, it's important to do that because we've only got coolant in the radiator. As soon as you turn that engine on, the engine's going to start pulling that water through, so you're going to have to make sure it's topped up, then bled and burped until all the bubbles have disappeared. Make sure there aren't any leaks down here. Make sure there are no leaks. And we've just got to let the water come out, let it just bubble up, let it bubble up. Come out. And that, my friends, is as far as we're going in this video. The reason being is before we take it on a test drive, there's another important part we believe we should fit that gets overlooked in Subaru maintenance, and I think this could be the issue causing the engine to smoke. Stay tuned, all will be revealed. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Biggie to big yourself, you can't be careful. Support BiggieJDM, support RCM, and love your Subarus. And we'll see you in the next episode. Ta-ra.